Hi, how are you? Good morning and welcome to another edition of our Cronin Challenge to Change. Today is Tuesday, September 22nd already. It's hard to believe that September is flying by. Soon we're going to be seeing pumpkins and all things fall and autumn and harvests and just so many wonderful fun things, and Halloween for the kids and parents alike, and how fun that's all going to be. And this year, obviously with COVID, we're going to see some new traditions starting to take place, and hopefully we'll still all continue to enjoy and celebrate the season as we so often do. And I think Michiganders celebrate Halloween better than some of the best out there. So I'm looking forward to it. Today, I just want to talk to you a lot about what's very passionate to me. And as most of you know, I have been practicing family law for many years, and co-parenting and issues relative to custody and children have always been extremely important to me. I am very passionate about it, not only because of what I've seen through all my years of helping litigants, but also from a personal point of view. I have children. I share custody with my ex-husband, and there are so many different issues that come up. And most often, children struggle and they're in the middle. And there is a definite correlation with the anxiety and depression and suicide rates of young kids and young teens and young people now. And I do believe the correlation is because of not only the violence that we see in the world and all of the social media pressures and bullying, but also because of the tensions that so many families experience relative to co-parenting. And today I'm so excited to be bringing to you not only my esteemed colleague, Samantha Faulkner, but her stepson, Easton Faulkner. And we're going to be talking to Easton about his education, his experience, and how COVID has impacted him, how there are some benefits to that. But what's also very important for you to know, of all of you viewers out there, is that when children are a part of the legal process, and you might not think they are because you are the party involved, you're the litigant, but please make no mistake, the kids do feel the effects of litigation, of family distress, of family hardship. And sometimes the children want to speak to the court, they want to speak to the judge, they want their preferences known. And it's rare that a judge will hear from a child or children unless they're a certain age, unless they're old enough, and unless the court deems it worthy. And sometimes there is such a thing as a GAL or guardian ad litem that is appointed for the children if there is so much tension and strife between the two parties for the, the custody dispute or the battle, that a GAL is appointed so that the children's voices are heard if they're that young that they need that extra support. And sometimes even if they're not young and there's so many stresses, or there's certain types of emotional incapacities or physical or mental incapacities, they definitely need that extra support. But it's also important for attorneys and for you litigants to know that attorneys just can't talk to the children, whether it's the children that you have, or the stepchildren, or whatever it is that is at issue in your particular matter. They need permission from the parent. And sometimes when there's a custody battle and one parent gives permission and the other parent doesn't, well, that's an issue as well. So you always have to be very careful when you direct an attorney to talk to your child or children. And so I also wanted you to know that because this is such a passion of mine, and I am so pleased and honored that Scene magazine has chosen me to talk about all things, parental, and as a working mom, and issues with kids and co-parenting. And that's this Friday. There's going to be a virtual event that is this Friday, and it's Scene Magazine's third annual Women Scene Making an Impact Conference. So I, again, am so honored and touched that I've been asked to be the expert on the topic, all things parenting. So please join me on Friday for this small group panel discussion. And you can find out more information from Scene Magazine's website. And it's a free virtual event. So I really hope you all join me. And without further ado, I'm going to be bringing Sam into the stream. And I'm so happy. I know you all know Sam. She's a regular on our show, both with the Challenge to Change as well as our Fridays and Thursdays Cronin Law Firm show. Hi, Sam. How are you today?
Hi, good morning. Good. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule, all of the cases that you're handling for the firm. I know you have a lot on your plate, but I appreciate your being here and bringing your son, Easton.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us.
So I know you heard my introduction a little bit, and we were talking about, the co-parenting issues and problems relative to co-parenting. And I know we've seen a lot of that with our cases and our clients during this stay-home order and the pandemic. And now that we're in school, now who would have thought when they canceled, physical school last March that we would be here this September still. So now with the son at home, as so many of us Michiganders have to deal with, you're not only having him in school virtually, but you're working and you're a wife and you're managing your home and all of the cases and his online education. How are you faring with all of that, Sam?
It's very difficult. It's not as hard as I thought it was going to be so far, but we're still kind of in the early stages of all the school and everything like that. So I think because people haven't quite settled into a routine yet, there still is a lot of forgiveness and flexibility going on that I think will go away over time.
Right.
But it can be very overwhelming at times. And I know you have 3 children. I just have the one. So that's, even more difficult with juggling all of their schedules and everything like that. And so it's, I know, it can be very overwhelming at times because you want to do great at everything, at every hat that you wear. And sometimes you can't.
There was a movie, I think it was about a year ago, Bad Moms, and there were so many scenes in that movie that it's like I could relate because we put so much pressure on ourselves as women, as moms, as, even if you don't have children. I mean, if you're a career woman or if you're a housewife or, someone who's, just around the home doing, home businesses, or we just as women tend to have so much dumped on us and we have a hard time saying no. And we do the majority of the work around the house. We do the majority of the work when we do have children. And so we are often forced, to do the majority of the work, even if you're married. And it's tough.
Yeah, it's a lot of constant shifting on what do I need to focus my attention on right this second. Luckily, working for a firm like ours, I have Easton doing school in the small conference room for the second day in a row. And I'm very lucky that I'm able to do that in a pinch. A lot of people don't have that luxury or that ability to do that. So I'm also very lucky that I get to work from home and school him from home a couple of days a week. So that does ease the burden quite a bit, but it still is difficult because, this morning I had a court hearing on Zoom at the same time he, needed something, help for one of his things that he was learning. And so we have come up with like a system of, this is a time I can't talk to you at all. Please don't even come in here. And usually when I'm at home, it's nice because then my husband and I can plan our schedules around each other's necessary meetings, but sometimes things just happen.
Well, do you see a big difference with the virtual learning now, this September? The schools had the majority of the summer to prepare, but a lot of them didn't. They were taking it day by day because they didn't know what the governor's orders would look like come September. So many of them, and I know many of the administrators of various school districts, told the teachers, hold off, don't, plan or prepare. We don't know what's happening. But my question really is geared toward a difference. Do you see a difference from last March, April, May, June, the last quarter of last year's schooling to now? Is it better? Are the teachers more involved? Is it, more sophisticated or more advanced? Are the children learning more? Is there more, I guess, options for them?
Yeah. So in our particular district, I don't think they could have done a better job upgrading what they offered now versus at the end of last year. At the end of last year, our district still did a much better job than many other districts from what I heard from other parents. But it was very disorganized. It was very lackadaisical. There was no expectation that anything really get done. But at the end of last year, Easton was in 4th grade, and the 4th grade teachers did a really good job of supplementing lesson plans for each other. So one teacher would come up with a lesson plan for social studies, and the whole 4th grade would get that. So they could spend more time developing a worthwhile lesson plan. But now in the virtual academy that we're participating in through our district, it is organized. There is a schedule. The textbook companies have done an amazing job creating online content that can go hand in hand with the teacher's lesson plan. So it's very easy to follow, and the expectations are very clear, and where you find stuff is very clear. I mean, it is a tremendous upgrade from what we had at the end of last year, to the point where I'm like, this really isn't so bad.
That's fantastic. Well, I know last year, so I'm fortunate now my children are in, school physically. Of course, they have to wear the masks, and they complain about it every day, and they're, hemming and hawing, and it's a lot for these little kids. But they're still in school, and I'm grateful for that. But the end of last year, it was, my teaching them, my instructing them, as good as a job as the schools did, as what they had to deal with, and all the teachers, and, my heart went out to them. But it was tough, Sam. I mean, juggling work and the firm and the kids, and, having, little help to do it all. It was very, very tough. But I know that you have your little guy there in the office, and I'm sure he's ready. And I'm so honored and pleased that if Easton is ready to join us, I would love to ask him some questions.
Yeah, he actually just walked in. Perfect timing.
That's wonderful. Hi, Easton. How are you?
We're live. He's a little nervous, but he's excited.
Hi. Well, if some of our viewers, some of our loyal followers can remember, I gave Easton a shout out about a month or two ago for his big, win with his baseball team. And he's on a very competitive elite level baseball team. And I know that your mom is just so proud of you, and your dad, of course. And I'm so honored that you've wanted to join us today. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm great. Can you just tell our viewers your name?
My name is Easton,
And how old are you?
I'm 10.
You're 10. Can you scooch over a little so we can see you better? Perfect. We have to see your handsome face. You look so good. So how old did you say you were? I'm sorry.
10.
Okay. So all of 10 years old. See, I knew that, but I had to let our viewers hear that. You're in school now. What grade are you in?
5th grade.
Okay. And in your grade, you said 3rd grade.
5th grade.
5th grade. It's hard for me to hear you. So as a 5th grader at the age of 10, how is it going to school virtually for you?
It's kind of weird, but I kind of like it. It's more like difficult because every once in a while we can't hear some people, so it's like difficult to hear people sometimes.
Yeah.
But I like it.
Do you find that you're learning from the teachers okay as compared to in real life?
Yeah, I feel like it might be a little better because they can share their screen and everything, and
And you,
we can see it a lot easier.
yeah, yeah. I see your mom's arm holding the chair down. When we get nervous, sometimes we fidget. That's okay. You're doing such a great job. Um, do you find that you can still interact with some of your friends?
Yeah, I feel like I can still interact with some of my friends, and I've been meeting a lot of new people because for our school district, we have like two different schools going with each other. So, and the school that we're having with, we go to the same exact middle school. So now, so
So now you can visit them online?
like we can like meet them online, and then when we get to middle school, we can know a couple of kids from the other schools that are going to the same exact middle school.
And you would not have been able to do that if you were in person, would you have?
No, I would not be able to.
So that's really good. Now, if you had a choice between going to school wearing a mask and being home learning, which one would you choose?
Probably online school.
Online. So what is a typical day for you with school?
Normally we just do morning meeting, like just getting into like ready and waiting, getting ready to start the meeting, and then we start reading, then writing, and then we got a word study, and then we got lunch at like noon, and yeah, we do movement breaks every once in a while that we just get away from our screen. Since it's stuck on the screen for like 3 hours straight.
And is your teacher live that whole time with you?
Yes, sometimes she records it, but most of the time she doesn't record it. So.
And do you have any problems or difficulty figuring out how to get your documents or your work to the teacher?
I did once, but then I just remembered, like, she said go through like Google Docs and then go to there and then share it with her. And then all of that, it isn't really that hard as I expected.
Is this something that you don't think you would have learned as early? Or do you think that being home now with COVID, you were forced to learn more technology sooner?
I feel like I probably wouldn't have learned this much of technology as I have now because I have to learn it.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's a plus, right? Yeah. Does it help you with some of the games that you like to play?
it does every once in a while, to be honest.
Yeah. Do you think some of the gaming that you like helped you with some of the online schooling?
Probably.
Yeah. What's your favorite game?
That's actually tough.
What's a couple of your favorite games?
So I really like Madden, NBA 2K, pretty much all the sports games.
Yeah, that's good. What's your favorite thing about going to school from home?
Probably being able to see my friends, but also I wish I could see them in person.
Mm-hmm.
But my favorite thing is I'm being able to see my friends.
That's great.
So
At least online.
yeah.
Do you have like breakout rooms with your friends? Does your teacher let you go and like have different smaller groups?
Yeah, we do breakout rooms every once in a while.
Mm-hmm. How do you think she's going to do a test? Or your teachers?
Probably she's gonna do a test, like maybe like make like an online like quiz that we could maybe do the test for.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a Google form.
Okay. Is this all new compared to what you had to do last semester at the end of last year? Did you have more help from your parents when you were home?
I felt like I did do like I'm doing better this year than like the end of last year, just because we were preparing the whole year, so we knew what to do when it came to school time. And then and last year we were expecting that we might need to go online, but we were like preparing.
Yeah. So you feel more prepared now.
Yeah.
How do you feel, Easton, about wearing a mask when you go out in public?
I'm okay with it. It's just like every once in a while, like it's like tough to breathe in it, but like I'm okay with it. It's kind of it's still getting. I'm still getting used to it, even though we've probably been doing it for like 3 months.
Yeah.
But
It's hard to get used to.
yeah,
What were you going to say?
it was just hard to get used to because it's been like we've been so used to just going out, not wearing a mask, not having to do all these things, and now we have to do it. And just like just a random point, this happened.
Right. Does it bother you to have to wear one, or are you okay with it?
I'm okay with it, to be honest. It bothers me a little because every once in a while, like I have a scratch on my nose and I can't get it.
Yeah, right. There's another question I wanted to ask you about the biggest difference that you notice from, going to school in person versus virtual. What do you think is the biggest difference?
Probably the biggest difference is probably being able to turn off your mic and like your video, and they like at real school you like have to be like you can't like you have to like stop talking if you aren't gonna talk, but in Zoom or whatever we do, we can just press the mute button.
And you can also just have a generic screen, right? You don't have to show your face, do you?
Yeah, we don't really have to.
Yeah, there's a privacy law. I'm not sure if you're aware of that, Easton, but when you're going to a public school, they cannot force you to have basically a camera on you when you are attending, virtual school. Do you think that it's harder for you or for the teacher not to have a screen of yourself?
I feel like it's a little tough because normally like I'm used to like when I like this morning my teacher was having like some difficulties with her Wi-Fi and stuff, so she had her video off because if her video was off, like we could like see like blocks of her and the rest was like blurry.
Mm-hmm.
So it was kind of weird because normally like I can look at her and I could like if I can't hear her, I can at least like try and like see what she's saying, and it was a little difficult.
I have some friends who are teachers, and they have told me how hard it is to teach to a screen full of blank, the generic look of the stick figure, the figure that they see. They can't see you. They don't know who they're talking to. It's just basically a blank screen. And I can imagine how hard that is for a teacher. And as a student, I understand some students really just don't want to be seen on a particular day. So I get that too, because I feel like it too. So, it's brought a lot of different, issues and changes and questions, but I know that it's certainly better than not going to school. Don't you agree?
Yeah, a lot better.
Yeah. Has COVID impacted any of your extracurricular activities?
Not really.
What sports or activities are you involved with?
I have baseball and I might play basketball when it's basketball season.
Do you think they're going to allow basketball this year?
I'm not sure. They're talking about they will, but like I feel like we might like do like sometimes I seen like sometimes like tournaments go out of state and do tournaments for their teams. I feel like they won't do that for like this year just because of the coronavirus and stuff.
Did they do that for your baseball?
We've went like the farthest that we've went this year was it Finley?
Cedar Point was probably the furthest.
Cedar Point was the farthest that we did for baseball. So,
yeah. And did you have to wear masks in Ohio?
In Ohio, yes, we did.
What about when you were playing baseball?
When we were playing baseball, we didn't have to wear a mask, but most teams I saw were you had to wear a mask on the bench, or if you're in the out. So
yeah, and do you think that you have any advice for someone your age that wants to stay involved or get involved in sports or other activities during COVID? What do you think you can tell someone your age right now?
You just gotta stay safe and practice at home, and you'll get better still.
And practicing at home, have you been doing that?
Yeah, I've been practicing every once in a while.
Do you like to work out at home?
I do every once in a while.
Yeah, that's important. It's important to keep up what you like to do during these times, isn't it?
Yeah.
It keeps you happy and motivated and your spirits high, and that's really important.
Yep.
So, Easton, it's been such a pleasure having you on today. And I hope you have a great afternoon in school. And I'm so happy you're at the office. And if you have any other things that you want to say to our viewers, now's the time. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, I think I'm good.
So do you want to give a shout out to any of your friends or teammates?
Go ahead, they're probably watching.
Or your coaches or anybody?
My dad might be watching, to be honest.
I think your dad's watching.
I saw my mom in the chat.
Shout out your Instagram. You want to
shout out
Instagram?
Give a shout out to your mom.
My Instagram is Easton Faulkner 313.
I'm so proud of you. Thank you for being a part of our show today.
Thanks for inviting me.
And you'll have to have your friends like our page and go to our YouTube channel and Instagram, and they can check you out in further detail.
Yeah.
Okay. Sam, thanks so much for having him.
Yeah, thanks, buddy. If you go see Mr. Hugh, he'll help you with your lunch. Okay.
So, guys, it's so important, as you see, that children have to feel that they're a part of the decision making, and that they have a say. They're forming their personalities and their lives, and they're really all of their persona, not only their subconscious and their conscious and their hyperconscious and preconscious, and there's so many parts of someone's personality. And Sam, I commend you for all the support that you and your husband have been giving to Easton.
Thank you.
And he's such a great young man. And how has it been for you with all of the sporting events and extracurricular activities?
It's been strange. Like he was saying with baseball, we had to do most of our season in Ohio because Ohio was fully open and Michigan still wasn't really allowing the tournaments, or there were so many weird rules that it wasn't even worth playing because it wasn't really the game, if that makes sense.
Right.
So they would have the umpire standing behind the pitcher, and you just can't do that at the 10-year-old age group. It just doesn't work. And I think the biggest problem the kids had over the baseball season was no sunflower seeds in the dugout. I mean, that really, really bothered them. But, if you think about it, you're chewing on them, you're spitting them out. But, we made it work. We made it work, and it was difficult. There was a lot of things that we didn't get to do, like team dinners. You couldn't go, we weren't comfortable going out to eat in restaurants, so we would do takeout, but there were some families that felt the same that we did, and some families that were going out to eat, and, everyone, it was like a variety of different, expectations or, beliefs, and we all just kind of respected each other's opinions, and you did what you were comfortable with, and no one made a big deal out of it.
Well, and I think that's really been a challenge for some people, is just doing exactly as you said, respecting someone else's opinion or their manner in which they handle this issue. We've seen, it's almost like road rage, where we've seen other people really attack other people for not going along with what they deem to be appropriate. And obviously everyone has to follow the laws and the mandates of our state. But if it's a question of morality or a question of choice, and it's not legally required, then everybody should really just, mind your own business, play nice in the sandbox, and it'll all be a better world and state and community. Don't you agree?
Yeah, I do. And I think that, like, for example, and I know you're aware, but, Easton has asthma, so he's immunocompromised. So we do things a little differently. But I know that we also do a lot more than some other people we know. And I think everyone just needs to respect the choices that people are making. And if that means that, if I'm being more cautious than person A and I choose not to spend time with person A at this time, I'm respecting their choice, and then they have to respect that I'm setting a boundary there for this time. And it's just accepting what everyone's trying to do for their own households and their own families, and that's okay.
So we see it a lot, Samantha, and I'd really like to talk about our co-parenting issues that we see. We see a lot of this, especially post-judgment. And to our viewers, post-judgment just means that once the divorce judgment is final, there are so many issues that come up that may not have been thought about, or predicted prior to the issue arising post-judgment. And sometimes, people are handling the divorce on their own or the custody issue on their own, and they don't think of all these different contingencies that can take place. But we try to be as thorough as possible, but sometimes attorneys just can't get it all, or the parties just can't think of it all. And so there are so many things that come up post-judgment. And one of them now, obviously dealing with COVID, we saw a huge onslaught of, parents pitting the children against the other parent, or not allowing them over because of COVID, or they didn't think it was safe over at that other house, or they had a blended family over at the other house, and, the stepchildren or other people might have been exposed. What, was your biggest advice, and still is, to so many of those litigants or, families dealing with two different households?
Put the kids first. We all have different opinions as adults, and like with Easton, he doesn't mind wearing the mask, and we're trying really hard to raise him to be a rule follower, but not blindly, right? We explain to him, this might not make sense, but this is what we're going to do because of X, Y, and Z. And some people might not, and that's their choice. And we need him to wear the mask because we think it's important, but we also understand that if he was older, he might choose not to wear it. But put the kids first. I see so many of our clients, or like I belong to a few mom groups or like local community groups on Facebook, and I see people complaining all the time about, well, my kid's at their dad's house and his new wife and her kids are doing X, Y, and Z, and it's exposing my kid to this or that, and they want to be right. And it's not always about being right. Sometimes it's about what's doing best for your child, which isn't always what you think is right for you, or vice versa. And just hearing other people out, being open-minded, and putting the kids first. It's not about being right or wrong, or being the better parent or the favorite parent. I see a lot of that. I know you do too. There's a lot of competition to be the smarter parent post judgment, or
the fun parent, and
Disneyland parent, as we like to call it. And, it's not always about that. It should always be about putting the kids first. And I think that's I feel guilty sometimes, the good relationship that we have with Easton's mom and her husband, because being a divorce lawyer and dealing with all these like highly contentious post-judgment cases, maybe that's what helps us. I don't know. But, we've worked very, very hard on, and we're usually on the same page on most things, but even when we disagree, it's very, very hard to put self aside and put the child first. But I think that's one of the reasons that we all get along so well.
Exactly. And that's important. And that shows a maturity. It's not always easy. Yeah. And, we tell our clients to, sometimes it's, you have to give an Oscar-worthy performance, because it ain't always easy to do the right thing, but you just have to. And doing the right thing is putting the children first, no matter what. And that's what the court views. And that's, that's how they base their decisions. What is in the children's best interest? That's how it always is. There's usually never an exception to that I can think of. Sometimes, attorneys go to extreme lengths to try to show that their client's way is the best interests of the child, but it's not always that way. So that's extremely important. And with COVID, I know that there was a lot of, keeping the child from the other parent, or, switching parenting time, and the courts made it very clear, keep the parenting time schedule, try to keep the same rules relative to, mask wearing or social distancing or COVID, in both households. It's exposing others to, other people outside of your home. They try to really make it very seamless. But that's not always easy.
It's not. And, COVID has become the new thing that people that want to stick it to their ex use, to try and separate the children from the other parent. And the courts are tired of it. They really are. And it's ironic, because we have cases right now where you have one parent criticizing the other parent for wanting to see their child during COVID. And then you have a case where you have a parent criticizing the other parent for not seeing the child during COVID in order to
protect them
and protect them.
Right.
And but the courts are so sick of hearing about COVID as an excuse for anything, unless you were symptomatic and tested positive and still willfully exposed your child to that. They don't want to hear it. They just don't. And for all intents and purposes, you really should be treating both households as one household, because the child or children are going back and forth. So you're basically one household at that point in time.
And it's similar to online schooling. If the children feel better doing all their schooling at one home and the two parents can agree, great. If they can't agree, well, then they have to stick with the co-parenting. But you should always look to what's in the children's best interest. I mean, gosh, it's hard enough going to one location for school, let alone carrying all your stuff, your books, your computers back and forth and back and forth. And I can imagine the stress on children. They didn't ask to be in split households, and then with school in two households. I mean, it's the stress level alone is mind-boggling to me for those kids.
Yeah, it's incredibly stressful, and they don't want to, God forbid you have parents that hate each other and you forget your math book at dad's house, and you got to tell mom that she has to interact with dad an extra time because you forgot your math book. I mean, it's a tremendous amount of pressure and stress on the kids when the parents can't get along for whatever reason.
Right. I know. And that's why, as you know, Sam, I'm so passionate about that. And I just, as I said in the beginning of the hour, the level of acrimony directly impacts those kids. And whether it's, they're more depressed or anxious, we've seen so many different issues in children, whether it's from cutting or getting involved in drugs or, vaping or whatever, and just getting involved in the wrong things or being depressed, suicidal, whatever. I mean, parents, please step outside of yourselves and see things from their perspective. And as a result, Sam, I've been working on workshops and developing courses. And starting Tuesday, September 29th, I'm so pleased to be offering a workshop entitled Co-Parenting in a Minefield, Learning How to Diffuse Explosive Behavior. And I really hope that all of you viewers out there, please sign up. The course can be registered by calling 248 639-9928. And please, you can talk to our assistant, our team, and they're going to help you. We'll get you course materials and information. And it's so important that you learn how to co-parent mindfully, because we know sometimes it can be a minefield. And Sam, you and I deal with that all the time. We coach our clients. We tell them how to respond to text messages, emails. And, I know we tell them just take a breath sometimes, right?
Yep. And I think we can offer a unique perspective because we both co-parent in our daily lives. And we're not perfect. The people we co-parent with aren't perfect. So we're also navigating some of these things on different levels. But I think that brings a unique perspective and experience to our clients. And I'm super excited about your workshop. Cannot wait.
Well, you're going to, we'll have you a part of it.
But I know you've been working on this for a long time, and I'm so excited that it's coming about because you have so much important information to share with people that if they could just slow down and take what you say and apply it to themselves and make it whatever it means to them, it would be, the kids will benefit so much from people listening to what you have to say.
And along that line too, I know so many of our clients that we do see post-judgment say, gosh, I wish we would have had you during our divorce. And we've done other workshops. We've done, our lunch and learns, trying to teach, people about what they need to know during a divorce. And I'm pleased to also say that we're going to be offering classes on that starting October 2nd. Please call that same number, 248-639-9928. It's going to be a workshop, helping people to become empowered if they're thinking about divorce, what they really need to know, because we've had so many clients that are so upset with how their underlying divorce has been handled, what they wish they would have known, what they wish they would have done. And I'm hoping to instill some education and knowledge. And, that's what this is all about. That's where this Cronin Challenge to Change arose, by helping to empower people through knowledge and education. So, Sam, I know that you're a huge proponent of that, and especially with our divorce clients. Throughout this season of this show, we've had so many guests on trying to, empower our viewers. If you can, recall, without putting you on the spot too much, what do you think is something that they can learn from some of our shows and some of the guests that we've had? I mean, ranging from all topics.
Oh God, it's just such a wide range. I mean, anything really. If you're open-minded and you come to gather information, you can find something in your life that it can be applicable to. And, the whole challenge to change is not, it's piece by piece. It's an ongoing process. Like, we're always a work in progress. I feel like you're never done growing. You're never done getting better. You can always be a better version of yourself. And I think that, if you watch these videos with an open mind, you can get a peek into someone else's life experience and see how that can touch your life. And that can be a really powerful thing.
Yes, for sure. And whether we're talking about divorce or co-parenting or anything, and I think I lost Samantha. I don't know where she went. But anyway, it's been so fun having Samantha. If you're there, come back. I don't know where you went to. Oh, there she is. I was just talking and saying, whether it's divorce or co-parenting or any topic that we've talked about on the show. And I mean, we've had some pretty amazing guests talking about race relations, religion, physical health, mental health, emotional health. I mean, you name it, we've talked about it. And we've seen people inspiring our viewers through their own successes and their own triumphs over their personal tragedies. We've seen some loss and heartache and growth and change, and that's what this is all about, right?
Yeah, and it's really awesome, and it's really making a difference for people, and I just love that.
Well, Sam, as you know, it's like I'm on a mission to change thousands and thousands of lives through our education, our empowerment, and I know we're doing it one person at a time. And please, I beg each of you, if you have any kind of co-parenting situation that you need some help or training or education, please call us. Please call 248-639-9928. Sign up for our workshops. Sign up for our classes. I want to teach you how to be better co-parents. And I want you to know that that step alone, the step toward having a better life, you can achieve it. Sam, it's so disheartening when I hear from our clients, gosh, I wish I would have never gotten divorced. It's so hard to co-parent with this man. It's just a different kind of problems. We had problems in our marriage. Now I'm having problems with him as a co-parent. What do you say to our viewers like that with those issues?
It's hard because I like to think no one gets married thinking, well, if this doesn't work, I'll just get divorced, especially when there's kids involved, So it's really hard to let go what you feel like should have been or could have been. And when you're dealing with someone who's making life difficult for whatever reason or for no reason, the thing that I always like to remind people is that we can't ever control what other people are going to do. We can only control ourselves and how we react. And oftentimes, I find that if you change the way you react to someone else's behavior, their behavior will follow that.
Aha, that's the key. And when people say that, I wish I would have never gotten, divorced because I'm having so many other problems I never imagined, dealing with my ex. It's so stressful. Well, I know for a fact that you're a lot stronger. You're a lot different. You might have to frame or reframe how you see things a little bit better, a little differently, even though the stresses are different.
Yeah. And, with change comes new stress, right? I mean, think about even in positive situations. You're getting a new job, or when you were getting married and you were adjusting to being married, or when you had your first child or your only child and you're adjusting to being a parent. All of the changes, whether they're positive or negative, they're going to bring new stressors and new challenges, but you overcome each and every one. So you just have to look at it the same way. Yes, the divorce was challenging. The stressors in your marriage were challenging, but these, they were challenging enough that you didn't want to deal with them anymore. So here we are, we're divorced, and now we have new challenges, but we're going to overcome those too. And then something else is going to happen in the life, positive, that's going to bring new challenges.
Absolutely. It's all in how you look at it, right? And it's so important to keep your spirits high. And when Easton was talking about how he stays, doing some of his activities at home and, keeping those daily routines and habits and your own rituals, it's so important. And if you don't know what yours are, then take some time. What pleases you? What brings you joy? What brings you contentment? And do those things. Look to see what those things are. Maybe it's just going outside and taking a look at the sky and, just breathing for a few minutes and, taking some time to just not think about anything. People forget that they need to get nourished. You need to nourish your soul in order to be the best version of yourself.
Yeah. And people often forget that. I mean, especially with kids too. I mean, we've received some criticism for continuing to participate in team sports, but for his mental health, it's absolutely worth the risk in our opinion. And that was a decision that all four of his parents made together, because he really, really struggled when the stay-home order was in place and we couldn't do anything. He very much struggled with that. And, adults, and usually, not to be stereotypical, but usually women put themselves last. I see a lot of men that do it too. I know a lot of wonderful dads that will not spend any money on themselves and will wear ratty shoes and old jeans, but their kids will have all of the nicest, newest stuff, whatever. It's important as an adult to remember to take care of yourself first, like you were saying. It's like we always talk about the oxygen mask on the airplane. How many times have we told clients that? You have to put on your mask to be able to help others put on their mask. not a face mask, an oxygen mask.
Right.
That's the mask we're talking about here, but yeah, I mean, adults
That
often
too.
forget how to take care of themselves.
Yeah, it's so true. And I know during the first stay-home order, a lot of people were doing that. They just fell out of their routines, and drinking was on the rise, and obviously the alcohol sales were at a sky high, level, and but so too was depression and anxiety and weight gain and getting out of shape, and it was just, it's like this snowball effect. So now that people are getting out more and more, it's very important to try to do those rituals. And yes, you're right, Sam. So many people were critical. I know my children are involved in sports, very competitive hockey programs and gymnastics, but because the gymnasiums were closed, it was very hard. And so oftentimes, we would have to go out of state, but we thought it was worth the risk because, as you said, I mean, I could just see the emotional state and the mental state of my children just diminishing. And it's hard to see, especially when I know the science that says that children are the least affected, yet they're still affected, especially if they're like your son who has, immunocompromised with his asthma. But it's tough when you see that. And especially me, I'm such a huge proponent of the mental health in young kids because of, the tension with co-parents of, and the suicide rate is, increasing astronomically. And we saw a huge upswing in that during COVID and during the stay home order. So, it's all a balancing test. And I believe that people shouldn't judge unless you walk a mile in their shoes, almost literally.
Yeah. And that kind of goes back to the respect thing we talked about earlier. I respect that people disagree with how we have our kids involved in extracurriculars, but they have to respect that that's what's the best choice for our families, even though it might not be the best choice for them. And most of the time, when we give an explanation of why we are so adamant about doing it, and I won't explain to just anyone because I don't really feel like I owe anyone an explanation on why I make decisions. But the people that I care about and love and respect, I will explain to them. And most of the time they say, oh, I still don't like it, but I understand. And you don't hear about it anymore, which is nice because that's another layer of stress as a parent during the pandemic. You don't need people telling you that they don't like what you're doing.
Right.
You're just doing the best you can.
Well, and this is going to be part of my classes as well for the co-parents out there. I'm sure many of you are judged based upon how well you co-parent together, or if you don't, or if you do, or if you're too nice to someone, or you shouldn't be so nice, or you should have more boundaries, or whatever it is. You're going to get criticism from so many different areas, not only criticism, but opinions. Everybody has one, right? Everybody has an opinion. And usually it's the people that shouldn't have, should really take a little bit closer look at themselves that are the first ones to express what they think you should do. But I look at for instance, your family. When I say your family, I'm talking about, Easton and all of you. I mean, like you said before, he has 4 parents, right? And he's Easton. He's a little boy in the middle. And the fact that you all get along, it's beautiful, because I've seen situations where such is like another family, if one of the parents remarries and that new spouse, it cannot stand how well the actual parents get along. And they're either threatened by it or too judgmental or too insecure, or, they don't have the self-esteem to carry it through, or they can't see how good it is for the child. Then, you have a tough decision to make. And not to express my opinion onto that person, but, it's important to realize that, step outside of yourself for a little bit. Look at what's in the best interest of the children. And, for the parents to get along, well, then obviously they've, forgotten the past. They've either forgiven or just moved on, or they don't think it's relevant anymore. Mm-hmm. And they've healed and they've moved on, and they're not keeping track or keeping score anymore of who was right or who wronged who or what happened, or it's done, it's over, it's in the past, and that's where it should stay.
Yep.
And if there's a step parent or in a blended family situation that doesn't have the strength to allow the two parents to get along well for the kids, then I don't know. That you got to make that choice before you get involved with that person.
And it's, I always say that the biological parents have to set the tone.
For sure.
Because they're the biological parents. They're the ones that it can't ever go anywhere, and won't hopefully ever go anywhere. But I mean, that's what my husband did when we first started dating. He set the tone, and, he straight up told me, because we were friends first, but he straight up told me, you're never going to talk badly about Easton's mom in front of him, ever.
Mm-hmm.
And that he set the tone on that. And I don't know if she's still watching. She had commented earlier, and I asked her if it was okay if Easton came on today. But I also know that if I would have just brought him on anyways, she would have trusted my judgment and been okay with it. But I did ask her because she is his mom, so it's my job as the bonus mom to be respectful to her, even though Easton and I have a very unique and special relationship, and we have like our own thing going on in our house. And yeah, she's still here.
Yeah,
I mean, we've worked very, very hard for a very long time, and it's been like this for a while now. But we make fun of ourselves all the time because I'm like, every once in a while, I'm like, do I need to do something mean to her? Like, is this normal? Like, do I need to pick a fight? Or, and basically we're just like, this is what works. And it makes Easton very happy because he never has to choose. And I wish that more people could figure out how to do that because it's so good for the kids.
Well, it goes down to a maturity level, and it really boils down to not having to be right all the time. It's someone's ego, right? Their ego gets in the way, or they're too proud, or they're too whatever, or they're too hurt, or gosh, I could never be nice to this person because of how awful they were, or whatever,
Yeah.
or I can't be in the same room with that person because she cheated on my husband when I was with him. It's like, okay, get over it, right? It's for the children.
Yeah.
So, and with that being said, what a great hour, and thank you so much. This is all for the children. This is what we're doing. We're here. We're touching thousands of lives. We're going to influence many, many, many people for a better future for really our kids. And it's important. So,
Yeah.
Sam, I can't thank you enough. Thank you so much to Easton and Easton's mom and dad, and you're the bonus mom. I love that phrase, the bonus mom. That's perfect. I love that.
Yeah.
What a great bonus that is. You're a beautiful person inside and out, and I'm just grateful that you're a part of our team.
Thank you so much for having us on today. This was awesome.
Thank you so much, Sam, and good luck to Easton with all of his studies and his baseball and football and everything else he wants to do.
Thank you.
And to our amazing viewers out there, thank you so much for being a part of this Tuesday, September 22nd, Cronin Challenge to Change. And if you heard all of this hour, that's fantastic. You can hear replays of it. Go to the YouTube channel, and you can also see us on our not only YouTube, but our Facebook, obviously Facebook Live, that's always recorded, Instagram, and now we have our own podcast channel where you can hear this recording at your leisure. And I really hope you take advantage of the courses that we're going to be offering starting September 29th, Tuesday, September 29th. Please try to be more mindful about navigating these uncharted waters. It's really, sometimes you feel like you are walking in a minefield, and I will help you to navigate that and how to diffuse explosive behavior if you are experiencing that from the other parent. And also very important is what to expect. Learn what to expect during a divorce. I can help you with that. I'm a seasoned attorney. I've been practicing family law for years. I've been practicing law for over 25, 26 years, and family law for over 20. So, and not only that, I've been through a divorce. I also have been through a divorce with children. So I understand what you're going through. I get it. And I'm here to help. And so please take advantage of this. It's going to be a class you don't want to miss. And so for that, oh, one other thing, sorry, the Scene event on Friday. Please go to the Scene magazine event. It's a virtual event. It's free. And go to the Scene page where you can subscribe and where you can sign up for the conference. And it's free. And it's all about everything with moms and working women and women making an impact conference. So check that out, and I'll be there. I'm so honored that they asked me to be the expert on all things parenting. So enjoy your Tuesday, enjoy this beautiful fall week, and keep your spirits high, everybody. And remember what I said last week, to aim for the moon, because if you fall, it'll just be the stars. You'll still be up there, guys. This is Sabrina Shaheen Cronin. I'm signing off for this week, and have a beautiful day. Bye for now.